and gentlemen, a very good evening. You're watching a brand new edition of The Nation Wants to Know. And we through the day here have been at the CII. There is a lot of noise, a lot of chatter around, a lot of industry voices. Everyone has been trying to find out through the day what is it that the budget is wanting to give to all of us. The budget has something for the poor, the budget has something for the middle class, for women, for the youth. Remember, a lot of focus this time has been on the youth, the middle class, something that have been strong voting blocs of the Narendra Modi government. But then there has also been a realization that has dawned in finally, as the opposition says, that mehengai and naukri, these are important issues that have to be addressed. And has the NDA heard the voter? That is again a question that a lot of you have been asking. Has Narendra Modi heard you? Has he heard your concerns? What do you think? Clearly, over the next many hours, as we continue to look at the fine print, remember there are certain big takeaways as far as the budget goes. Right from creating a lot more employment opportunities to, making certain changes in case you've moved to the new tax regime, to, announcing some bit of breather in case you want to buy gold, to an indexation tax that the opposition is already pointing fingers at, to also giving in to the Kisan, to also giving it to the poor, to the Mahila, putting in a lot of focus when it comes to the big basket of Narendra Modi, as you had Nirmala Sitharaman presenting her 7th straight budget. She says our focus is very clear. This is just not for the immediate consumption. We are looking at capitalizing on what we've achieved in the last 10 years, and this is the reason why she says this is a growth-oriented budget. It's a very pragmatic but still a political budget, and like Sanjeev Sanyal was earlier indicating, you've seen a lot of largesse that has gone in both to the states of Andhra Pradesh and to the state of Bihar. The reason why Rahul Gandhi says this is a kursi bachao budget. So clearly there is no end to the politics. We also do know that the India Alliance continues to point fingers. But what about the first of focus of the budget? Let's begin by looking at the biggest concern that the Narendra Modi government has wanted to address. This is about jobs, this is also about the salaried middle class, and this is where the Finance Minister has some bit of good news for all of you. So just in case you're wondering what we are referring to, first up, listen in to what we heard from her.
In the new tax regime, the tax rate structure is proposed to be revised as follows. 0 to 3 lakh rupees, nil. 3 to 7 lakh rupees, 5%. 7 to 10 lakh rupees, 10%. 10 to 12 lakh rupees, 15%. 12 to 15 lakh rupees, 20%. And above 15 lakh rupees, 30%. As a result of these changes, a salaried employee in the new tax regime stands to save up to 17,500 rupees in income tax.
So this is a bit of that news that everyone in the middle class, the tax-paying class, wanted to hear. Though remember again, many would say that there is a lot more that the government could do. But when you talk about fiscal prudence, clearly this has been a tightrope walk for the government. Now what has been the big narrative that has been set in by the Prime Minister, who's lauded this budget? He's also said that this is a budget meant for everyone, and he says we are here for the country, and I want the opposition also to join hands with us and ensure that India rides ahead on the path to Viksit Bharat.
इस बजट से छोटे व्यापारियों, एमएसएमईज को, यानी कि लघु उद्योगों का, उसकी प्रगति का नया रास्ता मिलेगा। बजट में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग पर भी बल है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर भी बल है। इससे आर्थिक विकास को नई गति मिलेगी और गति को भी निरंतरता मिलेगी।
So the Prime Minister saying this is a budget that has something for everyone, but the opposition continues to say that that is not true. Rahul Gandhi has raised hackles already, where he has said, like I initially mentioned, This is a kursi bajao budget, but the government says do not play politics when it comes to the country. Let's quickly introduce a panel of guests. Joining us, we have Gopal Krishna Agarwalji, who represents the BJP, Lokesh Jindal, who represents the Congress, and we might also be in fact connected with the TDP representative on the show in just a moment. But gentlemen, let's begin by asking you one by one. Gopalji, what for you is the biggest takeaway from the budget? And you know, what about the middle class? The middle class that has always stood by the BJP. I mean, are we being told that you're ready to take us for granted? Isn't there more that the government could do this time around and give some more relief to the middle class?
It is important that we understand that budget is an annual exercise which allocates resources which are generated by the government to different sectors which need the immediate attention from the government. And yesterday's economic survey and the interim budget that we had before the elections are also to be seen together. Then only we'll understand the true impact of the whole process. Economic survey said that the current economy is at its resilient best. We are at the world level very strong, have strong parameters. All macroeconomic parameters are strong. They have identified certain pressure point or challenges, and that is where the budget takes importance.
Gopalji,
those challenges like
apologies, I'm interrupting you here, but before I get in, Lokesh, see, the Aam Aadmi sir, the Janta wants to know कि हमारे जेब में और कितना पैसा आएगा. We pay taxes on anything and everything. The middle class, that you have hardly been able to give any benefit. On the other side, what about the corporates? There is a lot of reference to how the corporate tax came down, but when it comes to giving relief to the middle class, why just this minor tinkering, sir?
No, it is not minor tinkering. The tax slab up to 15 lakh has drastically been reduced for the individual taxation. Finance Minister said that 17,500 is individual benefit for yearly benefit. Second important thing is you also look into the ease of living aspect. 3 crore houses, MSME sector, youth employment, internship, etc., and agriculture sector, infrastructure investment. You have to see
Gopalji, you have yourself accepted that unemployment is a huge issue, sir. You have accepted that. बेरोजगारी एक बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा है. You've accepted that because you've given such a big preference to jobs and the entire employment opportunity. Okay, Gopalji, I'm going to come back to you, sir, in a moment. I'm told Jyotsna ji also of the TDP is with us. But before I get in her, Lokesh, are you satisfied? Yes, Gopalji, I just want to take opening comments with everyone, sir. Then I'm going to come back to you. Lokesh, do you accept that this government is saying we also have to think of fiscal prudence? We are not a populist government, much like the UPA was. We do not believe in giving doles. But we are doing a very tightrope walk, and we are also using this money to build infrastructure and employment opportunities. तो आपका सारा जो narrative था कि jobs नहीं है, अब क्या होगा?
In fact, yesterday, the economic survey, it had pointed out that there is a severe threat to the job market considering the AI and its implementation. And the economic survey talked about the gig economy. And it also mentioned that the gig workers do not have any social security benefit. So we were expecting the budget to take care of, introduce some form of mechanism to provide some social sector benefit to the gig workers, to those who could be impacted by the advent of AI technologies, but we did not find any mention in the budget. That is something which is a big disappointment. And secondly, when we are talking about the government has acknowledged that there is a high food inflation. And if you talk about the overall core inflation is low, but the headline inflation is high, mainly because the food inflation is on the rising trend, and we do not see any major prospect of food inflation going down. So we were expecting that the government should have taken greater care that it is the middle class and the poor class which is impacted by food inflation the most. The LPG prices, And so we were expecting a greater form of consideration, especially with respect to the tax slabs. The government indeed tried somehow to bring down the inflation. It has increased the allocation in the agriculture and the allied sector. But then it takes time to bring the food prices down. And in the economic survey yesterday, the government said that it should remove the food prices from the headline inflation so that the headline inflation comes down. And the government went on to say that with respect to the
but
food
Lokesh, I do realize that there are a variety of issues that you are touching upon, and I think these are all relevant issues. But see, when it is a central budget, a union budget, clearly there is a lot that can be left to desire. So is the opposition right now commenting on the budget or hitting out at the government only for the sake of opposition? Again, is a question that has been asked of the opposition every time. But allow me a moment. I also want to get in Jyotsna ji of the TDP here. Jyotsna ji, you must be really happy. People are saying that there are only 2 states that have picked up everything when it comes to the largest. One is Bihar, the other is the state of Andhra Pradesh. But what about the rest of the country? The opposition is saying.
Yeah, I think that's a very naive statement of those people. I'll tell you why. Because the central budget, when they give the central budget, it's for all the states of the country. But 1 or 2 states which might require a little bit of more attention. Let's say, for example, if we talk about Andhra Pradesh, we don't have a capital for the state. We have a national status project pending in the state. We have lot many issues in the state. After bifurcation, lot of, I would say injustice happened to the state. And for the past 5 years, it was completely a mayhem in the state. Financially, the state has suffered a lot. So definitely, the central government, we requested the central government for some extra benefits. I wouldn't even call them benefits, but some extra attention towards the state of Andhra Pradesh. And I'm glad we got that. And again, here I have to say that the central budget is for all.
Okay.
When we talk about the mudra loans being increased, the cap increased from 10 to 20 lakhs, it's for all. And when we talk about the roads and buildings and the other...
Jyotsna ji, I came across something very interesting. See, both Bihar and Andhra Pradesh are really happy. And they have reasons to be with the kind of allocation that really has gone in vis-a-vis these 2 states. Now look at what the BJD says, Jyotsna ji. They say that all the BJD MPs in the Rajya Sabha walked out of the Rajya Sabha today when the union budget was being laid, strongly protesting the continued neglect of Odisha in the union budget. They continue to underscore while Odisha, Andhra Pradesh and Bihar, all these 3 states had been asking for a special category, the 2 states get a special additional fund, but Odisha's demand is not considered. So Gopal Krishna ji, how would you respond to the BJD? They are saying you can't just think about 2 states because these are your allies. Why have you not thought about Odisha like that?
No, if you see various schemes, the infrastructure spending of 11.11 lakh crores, the Manrega scheme of 86,000 crores, then 3 crore houses under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. All these, whether it is the flood relief, everything,
Gopal, this is a very specific question.
State.
With the special allocation that you have given to both Bihar and Andhra Pradesh, sir, the BJD says, sir, and allow me to quote, that probably this is the punishment meted out to Odisha for electing 20 Lok Sabha BJP MPs out of the 21 MPs from Odisha, and the reward to the BJP allies from Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. So why this stepmotherly treatment towards states or to parties that have not agreed to do business with you?
That's what I'm telling you, that all the schemes in the budget, if some state has not got its mention in the budget speech of the FM, that doesn't mean that that state is not getting its share. Only some of the schemes for Bihar and this Andhra, they have been separately mentioned, but all the other states together in the all total, if the budget is spending total budget is spending more than around 45 lakh crores, they are getting those benefits, whether it is the 14 Finance Commission, everything they are getting. Infrastructure spending, they are getting their share. They are getting their share in Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Manrega, they are getting. Only because of paucity of time or that FM is not
you're saying they are getting. Lokesh, do you agree with this? Do you agree with this? Because the BJD apparently is getting closer to the India alliance now. The BJD also walked out. The BJD has raised a lot of concerns that were raised earlier by the India alliance. So are we going to be looking, Lokesh, at a new realignment of sorts? And when you have a Rahul Gandhi who says कि kursi bachao budget hai, so people are also asking what happened during UPA 1 and UPA 2. If there are allies, the allies obviously have specific demands, and clearly everyone knows the coalition dharma aap bhi nibhate the, and likewise NDA is doing.
Well, it was in 1969 we had Gadgil introducing special category status for certain states, and they were to be based upon certain social and economic parameters. But the present budget, it is only and only on the basis of political considerations. So yes, in fact, when Rahul Gandhi commented that it's a kursi bachao budget, there is a certain truth in it. He says that there is a political consideration which has impacted and influenced the budget formulation. Yes. So, with respect to neglect to the Odisha,
you find that wrong? If you have allies, Lokesh, there is another way to look at this. We were having a conversation with a lot of industry leaders here, and this issue came up, and they said, see, this also is kind of exhibiting what Narendra Modi has always said. This is a different Modi. He's reinventing himself. He does realize that, he needs the allies, so he's listening to them. So this is a more flexible Sarkar, and the opposition continues to say that Narendra Modi can't work with allies. You allege he's dictatorial, but here is a classic case of him listening to the allies.
No. See, the Reserve Bank of India has given ample funds to the central government, more than what it had anticipated. So it's not that there was no elbow room available for the central government. It could have considered Odisha, it could have considered Jharkhand, it could have considered Madhya Pradesh, it could have considered those states which are faring as Bihar and Andhra Pradesh are. So there is no reason to neglect other states.
Lokesh, it is fancy. See, when you come on a television debate and when you're in the opposition, you can make such, sweeping statements. Is that fiscal prudence? Can you give a special status to all states who are asking for it?
Yes. See, that's what I said. When the center is having enough funds at its disposal, especially when the RBI has allocated more funds than it had expected, I don't see any reason for the center that why certain states should pay for fiscal prudence and certain states should not. Now, there has to be some form of a federal prudence as well. I mean, it's not only about the fiscal parameters that have to be adhered to. We require a balanced regional development and not some form of a regional instability, considering political dynamics. So over here, I think allocation to Odisha, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan was much needed, the way allocations have been made for Bihar as well as Andhra Pradesh. Yes, please.
Okay, Jyotsna ji, there is that one question that is again and again being discussed today, especially on the social media. Lot of people, Gopal ji, I'm going to come back to you, but Jyotsna ji, before I get in Gopal ji into the conversation, tell me something. What is your next demand that you will make? And clearly when you realize that you have the numbers, much like the JDU, even though, there are those clips of the Prime Minister during, a lot of these election campaigns in Bihar, he said, special Rajya ka darja milna chahiye. But clearly you are looking at a government that has corrected that position now. So is this an alliance of convenience? You give them the political stability they need, and in turn, you also get what you want. And clearly the opposition says this can't go on for too long. You both are being very selfish. You are not thinking of the middle class or of the poor or of the yuva. You are guilty of playing politics, Jyotsna ji.
I think I'll have to correct the statement there. We are not selfish, and also it's not like what we want, it's what we deserve. Let me put it very clearly here. When today we have around 15,000 crores given to Amaravati, the capital city of Andhra Pradesh. It was very clearly mentioned in the AP Reorganization Act that the centre would aid in the construction of new capital for the state of Andhra Pradesh. Simple. Have we asked anything more? But are we getting anything more? Let me put it very clearly
But
here.
last time around, Jyotsna ji, when the TDP had walked out of the NDA, that was on the demand for special status. You clearly have also revisited your position.
Let me come back to that. I'm answering that. I know that would be your next question because I've been answering it for so long. Now, the point is, yes, things were different in 2014. Yes. That's when the state was divided. In 2019 also, because we had to come out after the special package was granted to the state of Andhra Pradesh, there were certain discrepancies in it. After that, we walked out. But later to that, for the past 5 years, if you see, nothing has happened in the state of Andhra Pradesh. It's a complete financial mayhem in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So definitely, to correct the financial situation of the state and also to bring back Andhra Pradesh on track, we have to take certain decisions. And that the decision of coming into NDA was one amongst that, because we need a holistic development of the state of Andhra Pradesh. And we are, today if we see this, people are questioning why 15,000 crores per capital and why complete assistance to Polavaram. Polavaram is a national status project, and definitely it was promised earlier also that the assistance would be given by the center. But because it has lagged, almost 5 years we have lost. So definitely the center would help us more in the coming 5 years to build it ASAP, because that's also required for the food security of the nation as well. It's not for Andhra Pradesh itself. We have to understand certain points. Again, if we are talking about the industrial corridors, we are talking about the Hyderabad-Bangalore corridor, we are talking about the Visakhapatnam and
Jyotsna ji, put your hand on your heart, ma'am, and tell me that, had Narendra Modi got a 272, and even if you had decided to ally with the BJP, would they have given you what they have given to you and to Nitish Kumar? You also know that would not have happened.
See, I'll tell you one thing. I personally don't believe in any sort of this number politics or blackmail politics. I personally do not believe in this. But I believe, see, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, it's an NDA government. At the center, it's an NDA government. See, we know the priorities, we know the requirements of the state, because we have the, in the government in Andhra Pradesh also, we have people from the BJP, isn't it? We have MLAs, we have ministers from the BJP. So definitely we understand the situation of the state. And also I request all the other parties who are commenting saying that Andhra को ज़्यादा मिल गया या फिर बिहार को ज़्यादा मिल गया, मैं एक ही चीज बोल रही हूँ, Andhra Pradesh has suffered a lot for the past 5 years. So kindly, if let's assume Congress is commenting today.
I get your point. Jyotsna ji, there are interesting responses today that have come in from the Kerala Chief Minister, from the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. Both of them have said, because Tamil Nadu does not feature in the budget. I have limited time, so I want to get Gopalji into the conversation. Gopalji, what about a state like Kerala? The state has ensured that you get your first Lok Sabha MP. You've seen the Prime Minister putting so much of effort in Kerala. Why does Kerala get nothing is what Kerala is asking. Why does Tamil Nadu not get anything? And the entire India Alliance has gotten in together. They are belligerent and they are attacking you for ensuring this is a budget of convenience. Only for you and your allies, not for the Janta.
No, we have to understand what is budget. It is allocation of the resources and as demanded by the states or the departments, and then the need-based requirement that is analyzed at by Finance Ministry level. So, if some states have demanded something and the Finance Ministry sees that it is especially required for that particular state, it is done. And that is done. And secondly, I have also told you that those states which have not been mentioned in the budget speech of the FM, that doesn't mean that they have not got anything other than the universal dissemination.
But they are obviously raising the concern of both Andhra and of Bihar. Gopalji, I just want to take a quick viewer question. This is one of our viewers, Varun, who's watching this broadcast. Gopalji, he has a question for you.
That's what I'm telling you.
Varun has a question for you. Gopalji, he's saying, he's a middle class salaried professional. He wants to know that are you taking the middle class for granted? In the run up to the 2024 Lok Sabha election, though the middle class has voted essentially for the BJP, but you've seen at least 2% of that vote shifting to the Congress. Are you not wary of the middle class at all? Why are you taking them for granted?
Not at all. I must ensure the middle class that in this budget, the third important category that is benefited out of this budget provision is middle class. There are several tax concession, then simplification of taxation, then their MSME sector, street vendors, employment generations for the youth through more than 4 crores employment generation. These are all which will benefit the middle class. If the youth is getting different skilling capacity, educational loan, then infrastructure development, employment generation in MTS support, then a provident fund support.
But they wanted money in their purse. They wanted money in their accounts. They wanted to use this so that this could go into the system and boost consumption. That has not happened. But the BJP insists we are doing enough when it comes to the middle class, only for what of time. But we'll track this story. Yes, we'll track this story. Remember, there is a lot more fine print that we'll continue to look at, Gopalji. Only for what of time, I will have to thank you, Lokesh, and also, our TDP friend here, Jyotsna ji, for joining us. We'll track the story much more on the other side after this quick break.